peace, nuts.
Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 536. The Detroit Lions are ready to roar in 2024. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and finely tuned, amped up, ready for football co-host and good friend, Jeff the Risdon. How you doing, brother man?
Football.
It is a day of great honor. I've worn a collared shirt, if you've noticed. I'm here in full attire. Yeah, still no pants.
Very dapper.
Thank you. I'm honoring the occasion as it is. We got a lot to talk about today because we've got real football to talk about. I'm 5 days.
Week one's here.
5 days away from Lions football. 2 days away from the start of the season. This is what we've been waiting for. Think back to the Senior Bowl, Riz, how long it's been. Man.
So long ago.
Being trapped in the parade because I had to get those stupid frozen drink mixes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
I'm so sorry about that. I can't not bring it up. It's still in retrospect. In the moment, I felt terrible, but in retrospect, it's probably one of the funniest things that happened. That entire thing, you getting trapped by a parade.
It was not funny.
It was like Animal House.
I'm just very grateful to the City of Mobile police officer who was very kind in breaking protocol and letting me get the hell out. That was very nice of him. He didn't have to do that, and he did, and I appreciate that.
Oh, God. Yeah, and I appreciate you taking me to get my special.
I will give him this football if we get back there.
All right,
that stuff's very good. I know it's good, but
delicious. I'm saving up the shock treatment, the Lions blue drink for Sunday. So, all right, look, we got a lot to talk about today. We got football coming. We got your warm-ups. We got your season outlook. We got what it is looking like winning the North. And then we have winning the NFC. It's a little bit of a question mark on that one. Talk a brief bit about the LA Rams game. We'll talk about the LA Rams game. We'll give you a preview. And that and a whole lot more. We got a big show. Thunder booming in the background. We're ready to rock and roll. Riz, you ready to hit it, man?
let's do it.
Ooh,
Let's kick this off and break it down.
Football starting. We're here. We're ready to get into it. We're going to talk about this. Thank you, Casey Jean Wonder Gem. Oh, came across a little slower than I thought. For the subscribe, you too can subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget, subscribe, do all the stuff. We appreciate you. It helps people find us and helps us keep doing the things that we do here today. All right, let's get into it. Boop.
Honoring Amon-Ra, I'm going to 202 here. Hopefully I catch them all.
This is going to be... This has got.
Why have I not had balls in my hands all my life? This is great. I put that one on the TV.
You have. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's get it. Warm-ups. You are the mono and Applebee of my eye. Look at that. We fit two things in there.
Very good, Chris. Well done.
Thank you. First off, thank you, Justin Rogers, very much for posting it today and finding the information. We alluded to it earlier. Christian Mahogany had the mono going on and is coming back now. He's back in the swing of things. I know organs can be a little tender after something like this. I imagine that they've taken the precautionary time after he was over mono to get himself ready for contact and that kind of thing. I doubt that they would put him back in on the roster, taking a spot, the whole thing, if he wasn't ready to go right now.
Oh, for sure. And he is still on the NFI list, so he's not active yet. He will miss the first 4 games. Then they have their bye week, so he's out until October. That will be the teen weekend of October before he's able to be cleared to play. Look, mono is, when you get it, it just wipes you out. You don't have any energy to do anything. And it does impact your spleen. I understand that his spleen is apparently healthy. By the way, Dr. Jimmy Liao wrote a great piece about recovering from mono and what it does to an athlete at Lions Wire. I just published it before we came on the air. Please check that out. It's awesome. He does great work for us, both here at Detroit Lions Podcast and at Lions Wire, where I'm very happy to have him as my medical consultant and professional. He's doing a great job.
He's the man.
I learn stuff every time I read his stuff. I learn something, and I like that.
It's beyond that. I don't know. I don't know. When every time I talk to him, I feel warm and fuzzy after. He's just such a good guy. You know what I mean? He's he's super smart, and he's got that teacher's kind of mindset about, I walk away smarter every time, but he's just such a good person. I love that guy. I really do. Genuinely an awesome dude. All right. So we got Christian Mahogany, got the mono. Check out the Lions Wire article from Dr. Jimmy Liao, and you'll get a real medical kind of insight into what's going on. And you'll find out there. Now we also talk about the Applebee of my eye. Oh, God. So Dan Campbell did an Applebee's commercial. I have to say, look, I've seen people say he deserves an Oscar and all that kind of stuff. I want to say, let's not get crazy. Let's act like we've been here before. Like, I think the Andy Reid commercials before they got way overplayed, those were absolutely Oscar. Those are fantastic. He was so good. They were just, you could read that he was ready to laugh, which made me ready to laugh, kind of a thing. I'll tell you what Campbell brings, though, right? And I'll start, and people are going to say this is negative. Any coach probably could have stood up there and did what he did, right? Because they all talk behind a card. There wasn't something super Campbell-y about it, right? And I don't want him screaming, take kneecaps and all that in an Applebee's commercial. I don't think they want it in the soup either, right? The whole thing. But so that aside, what I'll say that he brought that nobody else would bring to it, and I noticed it, and my wife will notice this, he had a sparkle in his eye. There was a genuine kind of, you could see it, and there was just little kind of like you can tell he was magic with when he was not a committed man. He just had to be magic with the ladies, because you could tell he's just got this little gleam, this little something. And man, really, he played it very, very well. Looked great. Wasn't Campbellism, but it was all his charm, his charisma that carried him in that role. That was great. It was fantastic.
He was very, very. So most of us in the Michigan area are used to the Cure auto insurance ads, where Amon-Ra is pretty good in it, but like Goff overacts pretty badly in it. And Cade Cunningham was just like, oh my God, like this is really, really bad. So in that pantheon, I think Dan Campbell did pretty darn well. I thought,
a Michigan Emmy, Michigan Oscar, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as someone who I recently did have Applebee's boneless wings, they're pretty good. Like, don't knock it just because it's Applebee's. I know that's not popular with the generation below us, Chris, but Applebee's is solid, man.
I've only been there once myself, but if they were to sponsor, I would be there more often. That's for sure.
Those and the Wendy's Saucy Nugs, also a quality food product. Very good.
And I got just bad places to go, so we'll keep moving. Oh boy. Okay, Riz. Okay, so we got the mahogany mono,
the best flavor of Gatorade.
Mono mahogany, and Applebee of my eye, Dan Campbell. Look, he does have some chops. I think he could do it. I don't want to get out too far over our skis with how.
So he does reads for
Hollywood. He was here.
He does reads for Henry Ford Hospital and the medical facilities on there. He does a very good job doing the reads too. And I can tell you from doing those on the radio, it's really easy to screw those up. Now, I don't know how many takes he did those in, but I had to do a read last week, and I want to say it took me 12 or 13 takes before the producer was like, "Yeah, that's good."
It's weird, but it's true. How many times? Look, I worked in radio in Detroit for a while, and the guys that are pros will knock them out 1 to 3 reads. They can just sit down and bang them out, some of these guys. But there's guys that are pros that take a while, and if you're not doing it all the time, it is so easy to trip up or get an inflection or an energy level wrong, and we have to redo it. It's really bananas how difficult something like that is. And I say that as a guy who I was a mechanic for a long time, right? It's not like you're breaking your back doing it, but it is trying, and you tend to hate yourself pretty quickly. I'll say one other thing about the Campbell thing.
It's true.
How about the fact that we got a national ad with the Detroit Lions? The first of what's probably many to come, right? I saw it. Is anyone tracking the pundits or the Lions in the Super Bowl? We'll talk a little bit about that, but man, the Lions are truly the belle of the ball right now. Take advantage, guys, gals. Like I said, take advantage, because we're going to be hated soon enough. Once we get that victory and we're going to be hated, and we want to give them a reason to hate us. So let's go. National stuff. That's awesome. That means some real stuff. So, all right, let's get into this. The Detroit Lions season outlook. Thank you all for joining us for the warm-ups and gathering around the fire as we talk Detroit Lions. We're going to start with an outlook on the Detroit Lions season and what we expect. Riz, I expect more national commercials.
I'd expect more primetime attention, which we got.
Week one.
Week one. My sleep schedule's just chopped and screwed already. It's great. I will be up. Oh my God. So normally, like on weeknights, I'm usually in bed by 9:30 and usually asleep by 10:15. That's like halftime Sunday night. Just like after the game, I have 6-ish hours of work to do after the game. So yeah, it's a shock to our systems. But I will tell you, and I've had this conversation with other people that cover the Lions, we're happy to do it because it means we're good. And covering a good team beats the hell out of covering a bad team.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We've all got experience doing that.
The Lions, I mean, here we got, thank you, Riley. Appreciate you, brother. You're a kind guy. And I owe you a message. Don't worry. I've got you in the queue. Jeff Holman, anybody see that 3 out of 4 the PFF pros picked the Lions as Super Bowl champs? Loving that shit. Yes. Love it. I'll tell you this. It's late. We got jobs, stuff to do, but we're still doing a post-game show week 1. I don't care. 11:30. I don't care. Get in here. Listen. Join us.
God bless you.
Celebrate. Now, it's going to be a little hard because we're playing the Rams. The word is that Kelly will not be coming to Detroit for the game, so I'm going to have to get a plane ticket out to L.A. so I can boo her children there.
Seriously, like,
thanks, Will.
So this has been like a big thing all day. Everybody in Detroit is like, we don't give a crap about Kelly Stafford anymore. And that's like the only thing that anybody wants to talk about. Like, pick a side, pick a lane here. Either you really, really hate her and you want her to know it, or you really don't care and it doesn't matter. But you can't do both.
I couldn't resist.
Driving me nuts today.
I couldn't.
I ran into somebody in the grocery store today who recognized me, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about Kelly Stafford?" I'm like, "I don't."
I couldn't resist the joke. Will dropped it in the Slack about flying out there to boo the kids. I was like, "Oh, that's such a good one. That is such a good one." But I can't. Yeah, I honestly don't unless I can tell a good joke. That's it.
But I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't know why people care. I don't get that. Matthew hasn't been here in a long time. He was very good here for a very long time. I hope that after the game, after we beat their ass, people cheer for him as he walks off after he, shakes Jared Goff's hand and, looks up into the stands and wonders what could have been had he had real coaching in Detroit and real team around him.
Nah, well, we got a good quarterback. We're okay. We've got a lot more years of quarterback than we would have had he stayed, and we got a lot of pieces of the puzzle had he stayed. He in his own way, he did us a number of favors. He carried us when we couldn't get out of our own way, and he left us with a pile of gold to build this kingdom from. So, I mean, hey, thanks a lot, Matthew. Appreciate that. And you're welcome in town anytime. All right. After he's retired, J-Mo's going to need to give that 9 up because we will be retiring that number in honor of Matthew Stafford. But until then, he's the enemy. And that's going to be troublesome because when you do, it's like when you're retiring J-Mo's number later, do you double retire 9 and his new number? It's just so it gets so confusing now.
By the way, a couple of Lions did actually change their numbers. J-Mo was not one of them. I know a lot of people wanted somebody else to change their number too, but Brandon Joseph switched from 40 to 12. Yes, 40 to 12, and Lawrence Strickland, the undrafted rookie safety, switched from 48 to 24. So
there you go.
There's your news update. And Trevor Nowaski is wearing number 53 this time around.
Am I over my skis in the J-Mo thing? I just think that like I said,
A little bit. I mean, he's
I've-
caught 25 passes in 2 years, so
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit. He could be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I'm expecting very big things from him, but I think we need to cool off on that. Like this is an organization. So the other team of which I am a fanatic, the Cleveland Cavaliers, actually have more retired jerseys than any team other than the Boston Celtics, which is just stupid. I went to one of them. Zydrunas Ilgauskas is my all-time favorite professional athlete. They retired his number. Like, this is a guy who averaged 16 and 8 over like 8 years. Like, okay, like I love the guy, but he probably shouldn't retire. Like, I'm someone that believes that, like, for Lions in my lifetime, Barry should be retired. Billy Sims should be retired. They were the same number. Easy enough. I give that credit to Billy because he was so incredible before the knee injury. I would retire
And he
Calvin.
would have played today. He would have kept playing today.
Oh,
Or
hell
not
yeah.
today. I mean, not today, but he would have
Yeah.
played with today's
Today's
medical ban.
medicals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I
Yeah,
have to say
absolutely.
that more clearly.
Yeah. Spielman should be retired.
Yeah. Yep.
Herman Moore should be retired.
Yep.
I would retire Lomas.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
What about Perriman? Johnson, Calvin, of course. It's hard. You think you start thinking history, right? Like Calvin
I
seems
know.
so recent, you forget about him.
Jason Hansen should be retired.
What about
I would.
Perriman?
Maybe he had a really nice peak. He and Johnny
Yeah.
Morton did too, for that matter.
Yeah.
Blades had a nice peak. He just had a birthday. I saw that.
Yeah.
Going back to the era where we love these guys, you know.
No,
Jeff Backus played here forever.
Yeah.
See, he's the type of player, though. He was like
Porsche. That's
solid
another guy
to
that was
a little right. Like, yes, you remember him as being a very solid player for a long time. You shouldn't be retiring those jerseys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Glover Quinn, one of my favorite all-time Lions. Probably not going to retire that jersey.
If he'd have done
He was
that
great when
for
he was here.
8
Like,
years,
I love the guy.
if he'd have done it for 8 years, I'd start talking about it, right? But that wasn't. We only got a little piece of Glover. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's hope that we get to a point where we have to worry about, oh my God, we've retired so many jerseys that we don't have enough left to give out.
The Ring of
Because
Honor
Saint is
has no
retired.
room.
Yeah.
The ring is full. Sorry. We have to build a second tier of ring and another tier of seats at the stadium. We have to build a whole new stadium so we have a bigger ring, which itself is kind of funny to say.
Yeah, I mean, Amon Ra could get retired. Panay, Goff could conceivably get retired someday if he wins. If he
Campbell?
wins the Super Bowl, that's going to be a pretty easy one to choose.
Let me ask you: do you retire Campbell?
Yeah, but you don't retire his like he. Yeah,
I don't know.
I think Dan gets the statue. Honestly,
Okay.
that's where I would go with that.
Okay.
Of this era, if they're winning a Super Bowl or 2 or 3,
let's say 5.
I would honor it with
Say
Dan.
5. A statue.
Dan, I would have the statue of Dan spinning his whistle because he does that nonstop in practices, or talking to his menu. That'd be great. That'd be a good statue, actually. I think Dan, because none of this is possible without Dan Campbell. And there's a lot of other people that are also responsible, but he is the guy who, he's the seamstress who weaves it all together and makes it into a beautiful thing that we all want to wrap ourselves in.
We got Mike Kimber from Lions Talk. How you doing, brother?
Mike?
Retire Titus Young number. We couldn't retire Titus Young fast enough, much less his number. Oh my God.
I will never forget Titus Young at the Senior Bowl narrating he's giving his own play-by-play while he's running his routes. It's like, right, out, hook. Like, the coach is like, can you shut up? And he's like, he literally didn't know he was doing it. He's just like narrating his movement.
Oh man! All right.
He's actually a very sad case, unfortunately. But
I want to just let everyone know we're doing that. Don't forget, we're doing a post game show live, taking your calls. The whole thing. It kicks off this week. We'll be doing one. Even a late game, no matter. We're doing the post game show. It'll be right here. So come here and check it out and join us. It'll be fun. Also, the week after, I'm going to be. It's my anniversary. And we're going to be departed I'll be watching the game, but I won't be able to do a live show. We're trying to put some plans together with Russ and the gang, maybe doing a live show for us. So stay tuned for that one. But don't freak out if for week 2's post game show. It's when we got married back in the day before any of this was a thing.
So Chris, since you bring that up, my wife and I are celebrating our 28th anniversary on Sunday or Saturday.
Ooh.
My daughter turns 16 on Sunday. Busy weekend at Casa del Risdon.
Casa del Risdon. All right, let's get it. Season outlook. All right, Rizzler, let's talk about this. Oh, it looks like we lost the Rizzler.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. There you are. Okay.
I froze for a second. Sorry.
Let's talk about this season. There's a lot. All kinds of people talking about Detroit Lions and their ability to get to the Super Bowl. This is always, to me, the kiss of death. And this is the thing where so many teams you see have that surge year like we did last year. Then they have all the expectations and they can't quite live up to it. And then they kind of either fade away or make it over the peak in the next year or two after that sophomore kind of slump thing, if you will. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this season and what things look like for these Detroit Lions and what the expectations are. I'll start. My expectations are really all the way. I think this team, building the way it's built and growing the way it's grown, things are in place to go all the way. The problem is there's so many unknowns and chance items that happen. That said, we've got decades of chance going against us, and things have to revert to the mean at some point, right? They have to revert to the mean. You can flip heads 100 times in a row, and you still have a 50-50 shot at 101 to get heads again, right? So I feel like, I think this is the team that can do it, and we've talked about this before, that like it was a realization that hit during one of our shows that like they really genuinely can do it. I have expectations that we'll see the Detroit Lions in the big show this year. Where's your head at?
I picked them to win the NFC, not just the NFC North, but the NFC. So
Ooh.
Yeah, there are reasons that they won't do it, but every team has those, and it's a matter of how does that ball bounce between injuries and officiating calls and, schedule quirks? Like, how well can you start when you have 3 or 4 at home, like Detroit? How well can you manage your weather games if you're not just talking Detroit either? Like, Green Bay is a team that's built for a dome, but they play outside. Like, I think they're probably going to be better earlier than later. Just my thought there.
The curse of the frozen tundra.
Like right. When do your injuries hit? Just weird stuff, man. But the Lions should certainly be no worse than the co-favorites to win the NFC. And I did pick them to win it. San Francisco is, so you just talked about like getting over the hump. I think they're falling back on the backside of that hump now.
Yeah.
They've been up there for a long time. They're not better this year than they were last year.
Mm-mm.
Lions are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Atlanta is too. I think Atlanta's fairly dangerous now that they have competent coaching, a fairly steady quarterback, and their offensive line might be better than Philadelphia.
The high draft pick backup. I mean,
that's. Imagine if they had drafted a real pass rusher.
That's crazy.
They went out and got a couple, but so they're going to be good. I think Green Bay is going to be good. Sorry, folks, they're good. They're a good football team. We're better. I believe we're better. I'm not worried about them. I think we'll take care of business there.
Yep.
San Francisco's still formidable. I think we'll see about the Rams without Aaron Donald. Spoiler alert, I think we win week 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, I do too. We have to say thanks to Tampa Detroit Lion for the happy anniversary, fellas. The super chat. Thank you, brother. Big one drops in the 50 bones in the super chat. Thank you, Tampa Detroit Lion.
Wow, that's very nice.
Yeah, very generous listener. Love him. All right. So let's talk right off the top. I'm all in with you on the win over the those crazy Rams. I think it's too simple. I don't want to say it's simple. That's always the wrong.
No,
That's dumb. That's dumb.
It's not, because
It's
they're a
simple,
good football team.
Yeah, it's simple math is the way I'll say it, but it isn't simple to win. You know what I mean? So on paper, the Lions are there. It's done. It's a game, but you got to go out in the field and play, right?
Yeah. We'll get to the Rams a little bit. But,
The Lions show up though. Sorry, the Lions show up in these primetime games, and they don't. They hadn't before, but they do. This new regime and this last couple years, this is a different team, and this is when they do show. This is when they do play. So you're right. We will cover the Rams, and the game will go in depth on that. Moving on to the Bucks, the formidable. What are we redoing the playoffs over and over at the beginning of this year? 2 home games.
Tampa, like Los Angeles, doesn't match up well with Detroit. For years and years, we were always like, this is why we're going to lose, because we can't do this. Well, when you look at the Rams, look at their linebacking core. And where does Jared Goff like to throw the ball? Colossal mismatch in favor of the Lions there.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, last year, we saw them twice. What can't Baker Mayfield do? He can't throw deep. Can't at all. What can't their offensive line do? They don't run block for shit.
Yeah.
Guess what Detroit does really well? Where are we vulnerable? Over the top. Where can't Tampa Bay win? Over the top. Like, it's little stupid matchups like that. Like, Dallas and Cleveland play this weekend. Dallas is breaking in a new offensive tackle who couldn't stop anybody in the preseason. Cleveland's lining up Myles Garrett next to him. Like, don't overthink that. Like the little things like that, they do matter. The matchups and the ability to exploit those matchups is huge in the NFL. The Lions are diversely talented enough that they have the ability to do that in a lot of different ways. A team like Dallas, not so much.
And the thing is it's not just the team that can do it. You have this freaking brain surgeon in Ben Johnson who will just pick apart another team. And we've seen it, and we've seen it, and we've seen it. And the liability for the Lions has been, we have to stay in it offensively because our defense hasn't been able to hold up. And this is the year we really just pumped some assets into that defense. And this is like a big, I think this is going to be a big part of the story of the turning point of this team. The offense has been just such a steady, strong part of what we've done, and I think the defense is really going to be something. And I saw somebody tweeting at you, "Hey, what about a name for the defense?" Those things, they are. I know you talked about in your response tweet. It was like, "Yeah, Lomas will probably say to Dan." That's how they're. It's going to come up. I hate when they're forced. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's something somewhere. It's going to occur to somebody, and it's going to be like, "Yep, that's absolutely it. That's that that embodies what this defense is. That name there." I don't know what it is yet, and we're going to have to see him, right? We're going to have to see
figure it out.
All right, on to the Cardinals.
I'm not huge on looking at nicknames anyways, but it's fun.
Come on, brother. Don't you remember another one bites the dust and the Silver Rush?
I do remember that. Silver Rush. I do remember that.
My hair.
That's my entry point into Lionsdom. So yeah,
I hear that song to this day, right? And everything stops, and I sing along badly. It's on. Right, that's just it, and I'm Detroit Lions still. I say bring that song back, bring it back. I don't care if it's 104 years old, and I'm 105. I want to hear that song to the Lions again, man. That is such a bad.
Bubba
song.
Baker back. I love that guy.
All right,
man makes a mean rib.
At the Cardinals, what do you got for us?
Again, another team that shouldn't match up well. Now, they're a little different because they've got a lot of moving pieces and parts this offseason. I like their draft. We're better than them, but it's never easy to beat a team that's different. So, very nice. Look who we're playing first. We're playing the Rams. Matthew Stafford doesn't move out of the pocket very well. Baker Mayfield when he moves out of the pocket, he's going to run. Kyler can do a lot of things, and that's our first test against a mobile quarterback. Remember last year, number 1 in the league in running back yards per carry allowed. Number 31 in quarterback yards per carry allowed. It's an Achilles heel. Now, they've done some things that have changed that, and we saw it a little bit in one of the last 2 practices where they had Hendon Hooker basically emulating a running quarterback in one of the drills. By the way, he did pretty well in it. But
that's what everyone was asking for in Malik.
The move to adding Derek Barnes as a Sam seems to and adding Brian Branch and his range and discipline in that safety role, I think is going to help a lot against the mobile quarterbacks. But we need to see it, and yes. We'll see against Kyler. We should be able to outscore them. That's a game where our pass rush needs to show up.
Yep.
And I think they can.
It's going to rely on our defense for sure. That's where the difference will be in that game. All right. Moving on. Seahawks at home, Seahawks at home has been unreasonably difficult. The Cardinals have been unreasonably difficult historically as well. Yeah. Seahawks at home, unreasonably difficult. Monday Night Football. Can we break the spell? Can we break the batted ball spell?
There's just so many weird things happen in Seattle games. And I talked to a Seahawks guy not last week. Right before roster cutdowns, because he was interested in James Houston. It's like, hey, is Houston getting cut? I'm like, I don't think so, but they were fishing for it. See what was out there. He thinks this is their worst team they've had in a while. I'm inclined to agree with him, but that doesn't mean I'm not afraid of him. Like Geno Smith, man, doubt that guy at your peril.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. He's a quality quarterback. DK Metcalf, Terrence Lockett, like they got backs, their offensive line isn't great, their pass rush isn't great, so should be good for the Lions. Look, there's always a what the hell game or two for every good team every year. That's other than the super, super elite teams. I don't think the Lions are there yet, but maybe they will be.
Yep.
That could be one of them. That Arizona game, I think they might lose one of those. I couldn't tell you which one today, but I think they're 3-1 hitting the bye. Where are you at with that?
I think they're 3-1 hitting the bye. I don't know where the 1 is, but 3-1 feels good. Yeah, 3-1 feels good. We got really quick in the chat. I told my wife if we win the Super Bowl, Dan could come to my house, take a dump on my dining room table, and I would shake his hand with a smile on the way out. She agreed. She loves Dan. Ryan, now you got to convince her that Riz and I can come by and do the same. Turn it into a fetish. All right, 3-1. I don't know. It's terrible. It's just terrible.
He's that Florida State fan who deleted his Twitter because he wasn't going to eat the dog crap.
Right. And look, anyway, Florida State and Florida this year is going to be just the most.
I saw somebody tweet that they're going to show it on Tubi.
Yeah.
Great. My God, those teams have fallen. I think the Gators are better, but man, Florida State. Funny what happens when you lose all those guys to the NFL.
Well, Billy Nips is out this year. He's not going to make it. Florida's going to reset next year.
Either. Yeah, that's tough time.
Billy Nips. All right, let's get on. Let's get on to the next round of excitement here. Start looking at the bye week.
Shark Hopper up here at Central Michigan,
and then we get at the Cowgirls. This you talk about. So you have now a redemption game with the Seahawks at home, which is where they keep stomping us, and then a bye week, and then a redemption game at the Cowboys where we keep getting stomped by the refs. What do you think, man? How do you that coming out of the bye? It's always a little bit interesting.
It is. I like it because I think the early bye sets them up very well for the string of road games that they've got. And I like having the bye before that. Other than that, I really hate having an early bye. I would rather it be week 8, 9, 10, whatever.
Yeah.
By the way, all teams in the division should be on the bye at the same time. For the love of God, NFL, it's really not that hard to do this. Jeff Fisher suggested this 20 years ago, and it's one of the few things that he was right about.
That was the
Make
7.
that happen.
That was under the 7 for Jeff Fisher. Definitely not a 9.
Yes, it would be. That was one of the 7 W's for him.
Yeah.
Dallas is fascinating to me because I could see them being 0-5 at that point. I could also see them being 5-0 at that point. Like, who knows what's going on with that team? I mean, CeeDee Lamb just showed up. Their offensive line hasn't worked together, but if you look at, like, they got my dude Cooper Beebe, man. He's going to be their starter. Like, damn, I wanted that guy in Detroit. He's good. He's going to be real good. Their defense, Micah Parsons, playmaker. And they're going to be without Bland, should still be out by then if he's back. He hasn't practiced. Like, if ever there were a week for JMO to go 10 catches, 211 yards, and 3 touchdowns, Dallas would be the perfect place for it.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
He's got that potential.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine doing that in Dallas. Oh, my God. I'd love it. I would love that so much.
All right. So moving from Dallas, we go to Minnesota for our first division game of the season at the Vikings. This has traditionally been a little difficult. We lost at the Vikings last year, didn't we? At the Queen's Park Swizzle.
They're going to score point. Even with Sam Darnold as their quarterback, like, look at
it's hard.
They got weapons, man. They haven't. Their line isn't bad. Like, their tackles, Darisaw and O'Neal, those solid tackles. Like,
their offense has the exact opposite problem that ours did the first year of Jared Goff. We had no one to throw to. They have a no one throwing the ball, which really negates the power of a lot of those weapons and keeps them in look, either a long game with split interceptions and big catches, or a short game where we read that shit all day and that goes nowhere. It's going to be really hard, I think, for them offensively to put the hand in the games of Sam Darnold. He's just not. If you've watched the Ash's first daily DLP the season, he did a breakdown on Minnesota and he talked about it. It's going to be really, really hard for Sam Darnold to put that team on his back, and to the point where he can't. He's just not the guy. And it's going to be, that's it. If we can take it out of their hands, like, I want the ball first. Rarely do I want the ball first, but I want the ball first in Minnesota.
I'm with you on that. I'm trying to look at their defensive depth chart because I looked at it the other day, and it made me want to cry for them.
We swept the Vikings last year. My bad. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So, my God, like, I'm just looking at names. Stephon Gilmore, who was washed 2 years ago, is their best cornerback. I mean, their safeties are solid, but Ivan Pace, I love that dude coming out of Cincinnati. He's a great, like, throwback Spielman style inside linebacker. But I mean, Jonathan Greener, Jonathan Bullard, Jerry Tillery, Harrison Phillips, that's their front line. Their backups, Chris, I've covered the draft for over 20 years. I've never heard of one of the guys who's one of their backups. Like, I just don't know. Like, they're not going to threaten people. They are a team, and I put this in the season preview that I wrote at Lionswire. They're going to score 30 points a lot. They're going to give up 37 to 40 a lot too. And I think the Lions are going to – that's one where if the offense is cooking, we don't have to worry at all.
Right.
Because they won't be able to keep up even with all the weapons. And even if Darnold's having a good day with the spirit of Dick Hammer in him.
Yeah, you always want Dick Hammer in you. All right, then we come home, get a little bit of not being on the road break, and we take a look and line up against those Titans of Tennessee. And boy, they've got that veteran coaching. They've carried that coaching staff for years, the dynasty that is Tennessee. I don't know if I have anything else to say. I think I've said
we've never beaten them. The Lions have never beaten the Titans.
God, is this a string of games that are like monkeys to shed off the back,
it's
man?
Weird.
The Seahawks, the Cowboys, a division game against the Vikings, the Titans who've never. We're beating them this year, Riz. Come on.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I will say they're probably better than you think they are. Speaking as the collective you here, but I don't think they're that. Like, they're going to win some games. I saw. So one of the things that we do is I monitor mock drafts around the league to see where the Lions are projected to go, and the people that don't use the odds but are like picking on their own. Everybody's got Tennessee picking like third. I'm like, I think they're better than that.
Yeah.
I think New England's picking 1. I think Minnesota or Carolina's picking 2, 3, and after that, tough to say.
So we do 2 on the road, home against Titans. Then we got 2 more on the road. We go to the Pack, the Packers. I don't know, for some reason, Riz, and this is you're gonna tell me I'm nuts. I know it. I recognize it.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of the Packers this year. I think they're donezo and cooked. And I know you say they've been built to be a dome team and they have all this capability. Mm-hmm. I just think that they have peaked and they're fine. They're aiming towards the valley and they're heading that direction at speed. I told you last time it's the Mike Tomczak era is coming back. I genuinely believe that, and I don't have a whole lot of like data that I'm basing this on. Right, this is strictly my gut, my premonition of what I feel the future owns. I just think this team is tumbling. There truly is a change that's happened in that game. The year before last, that last game of the season, the baton was passed. I genuinely think that the karma has swapped and it's over for them. I don't know why.
I don't know. Like, they're the youngest team in the league, so they've got a ton of young offensive skill position talent. Most of it's pretty good. Not sure about their line yet. You know, they got some questions there. Their defense, they got some guys. I don't think they have enough, but I do think that they're going. I think each team will win at home. I also think that's true with Chicago and them. Each team will win at home.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Like I said, I can't. All I have is gut on that one to back it up, and so take it or leave it, folks.
One thing. So the 49ers, how did they beat us last year? They threw over the top, and yes, I know that one went off Kindle Vildor's face mask, but we didn't cover deep well last year. Even in the playoffs, when our safeties were playing well, we still didn't cover deep well. Jordan Love, for all of his foibles, throws a beautiful deep ball, and they got a lot of guys that can go get it down the field too, between Doubs and Watson and Dontavian Wicks, who works more in the middle, but he's really good at going down the middle. They're dangerous. That's a good football team. We are too.
Yeah. I think we are definitely the better team, and the youth. All that does is remind me of the Detroit Lions the first year Jerry started. Youngest team in football, right? The young teams make young team mistakes. They could be on the rise. I don't think that's the case in Green Bay. They're the youngest team in football.
One thing to your point there, Chris, they don't have a lot of guys that are in like the prime of their careers, which is like usually years 4 to 7 of your career. Right. One of the reasons why I don't like the Jets this year either, that I know we don't play them, I think they're set to not be good for a lot of reasons, but one of them, they don't have anybody on their team who's like 28 years old and a Pro Bowler. Like, all their guys are like older and really good or younger and really good, but like they're guys who are like the core of the like we have like Alex Anzalone fits into that range. Amon-Ra's getting into that range. That whole first Lions draft class with Brad is getting into that part. You know, Decker's kind of on the opposite side of that, but like we have that middle class time in there, and they're not quite there yet. They're like a year behind on that, or 2 on that. So yeah, that they're certainly beatable, but I'm not going to crap on the Packers. I think they're going to win the same amount of games as the Lions, but I think the Lions will win the tiebreaker because I think we sweep the Bears and they don't.
There you go. Okay, we move on. This is one, and this is hard because I know they're your buddies, and this is not why I say this, but it's the Texans. And I think if we meet the Texans, when we meet the Texans in the regular season, that's probably not going to go well for us, especially in Houston. Now, when we meet Houston in the postseason,
Oh my God.
we win.
The Risdon house would collapse.
We win that game. There you go. So
that would be better. Yes.
I loved watching that like register as you did the math on that really quick. You're like,
that'd be incredible. It's funny you say that because as I was playing with this ball earlier, I plucked this from my son's closet. There was a Texans one right next to it.
Yeah, leave the garbage behind.
For those who don't know, my family, other than me, are all huge Houston Texans fans from when we lived there. When they started to rise up with J.J. Watt, Arian Foster, Andre Johnson, like that's when we lived there. So they've all kept their loyalty to that, and I applaud them for that. And I like them too, but it's not a difficult decision to root for the Lions. Trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game, I'm actually going to that game. I have not gone to a road game in a long time as credentialed media, so I'm looking forward to going to that one.
Look at you.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Texans prediction.
I think Texans win that one.
Yeah.
It's in a good point for them in their schedule too.
Yep.
To catch us at that point. So,
all right, we've now got the Jags at home.
We destroy Jaguars.
We are the bigger of the cats, right?
We are like this is where like an Iron Sheik meme would come in for what we do.
Yeah. All right, let's go right past the Jags. I hate to blow past something like that, but the Colts. Now, I'm just going to talk about the Colts really quick as the team that made the decision to pick up Eric Ebron after us. And then fans saying, oh, yeah, we're just going to show you. You just didn't know how to develop a player. Oh, my God. The smack talk when they picked up Ebron like they thought they had. I'm like, you guys don't know what you do. No, you don't. No, you don't. Oh, my God. Anyway, that's always my focus from the Colts. It's hard. I have no reason not to like the Colts, right? That's all I've got. Like I can hate the Packers easy. I can hate the Bears easy, right? But the Colts, they like Ebron.
I don't hate the Colts. Like I lived in Indianapolis when they moved there, so like I don't hold any animosity towards them. But I'm frozen. Dadgummit.
No, you're not. You're going just fine.
Dadgummit. I was frozen there. Sorry. Okay. I think they're overhyped.
Yeah.
I don't have any like substantial backing for that. I just don't see. First off, I went through and I'll give Pro Football Network a shout out on this. I use their game by game simulator where you go through and you pick all the games and keeps track of it for you, so you're not like making errors and saying like. So I did this one year. And people called me on it like, you have teams like winning 25 more games than they lose like overall. I'm like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Okay, so I thankfully, people have built simulators, so my idiocy doesn't show as much. And they're like their start to their schedule is awful. And especially for a young quarterback who's coming off of an injury like Anthony Richardson is. This is later in the year where they're probably going to start to gel a little bit if Richardson is good. And I kind of think he will be. I know you disagree with that, but I don't think he's good.
I don't think he's going to be. I told you.
I will say I think
he's going to be a great running back, but
I like him a lot more than that. His injury history is troublesome though. But I will say Chris Ballard, their GM, gets way, way, way too much credit and levity from the draft analyst community, and that's starting to turn. And I think this season could be the one where it does actually turn on him because he's made some very curious picks and it has impacted their depth negatively recently. And I don't know, like at the same time, like if Richardson is good, he's a problem because he's a mobile quarterback who can throw on the run. That's like, I'm not saying he's like Lamar Jackson or even Caleb Williams, because I think Caleb Williams was probably going to be better than him. But I'm not a Caleb Williams guy either. But his style of play with the running back and receiving core that they have, I hope our secondary is better equipped to handle this year. I think we are, but I'd rather not find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we beat the Colts. I
I got to win there too.
The ghost of Ebron still hangs over Indy. All right, so then we come home from Indianapolis, long road trip. We leave the vertical toilet seat.
Didn't the Colts cut Jack Fox too?
And we get to the toilet seat on its side. Chicago Bears.
Somebody help me out on that. I think he came from there. I could be wrong.
Chicago Bears. The sideways toilet seat. What do you?
It really does look like
this team. That too. Really bothers me. This team really bothers me. The Caleb thing. Look, he's a rookie. I'm thinking more long term as to why they bother me. The Dunze, they had a good offseason as far as
yes,
talent,
they did.
Talent picking. They're a team that's had they've had a stellar defense and never an offense. Like Rex Grossman was their best quarterback, I think, if I remember correctly. Cutler,
Smoking Jay.
Yeah. But now the Bears truly look to be on the rise.
They are. They're a good football team. Maybe, probably.
Not quite.
Should
yet.
be.
You're one.
I will say this. Their fans are right to have good expectations. I think they've written a few too many checks that their team can't cash yet.
Mm-hmm.
But they're certainly they're interesting. They had a great offseason. I think they had a pretty good offseason last year. Montez Sweat. Guy can play, man. How many of us wanted the Lions to go get him?
Yeah.
Imagine him across from Hutch.
Oh, buddy. All right, so we got the Bears at home. What do you think? What's your gut?
I think we're going to take them because I don't think that Caleb Williams has seen the combination that's coming at him with Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson, with Derek Barnes picking his spot to rush from, is he going A gap? Is he going B gap? Is he dropping and instead, Robertson's blitzing out of the slot? I don't think he's going to handle that kind of stuff super well yet.
Yeah. I think this is the last.
Caleb Williams is such an enigma to me because I do see worlds where he's going to be very successful in the NFL. I also saw a lot of Lincoln Riley quarterbacks have to get a lot of Lincoln Riley coached out of them. Baker Mayfield being a great example of that. That takes some time. So this is the year to beat up on the Bears because they're. I did a Bears radio spot last week, and the host last year was the worst Lions team that we're going to see for a while. So they said, "We're saying that about our Bears. What say you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you might be onto something there."
Yeah, this is the last year I'm going to predict the Lions to sweep the Bears. Yes, they've added a ton of talent, but they didn't add experience, and that talent needs time to develop. It is later in the season.
They did add Keenan Allen, but he's on the wrong side
to play together. But the other side is, it's still the first season. I think everything's going to be new. It's a different pace of game. I think this is the last year I'm going to predict the Lions to sweep the Bears. The Bears are going to be a formidable foe as we go to the future. Moving next to the Packers. Move on. They're at home. I'm done with them. Yeah, you know where I'm at. What do you think?
Yeah, we're splitting with them. So, yeah, we got this one.
All right.
That Bears game's Thanksgiving, isn't it? That first one?
Yes, it is.
We need to win on Thanksgiving.
Yep. Okay, so after the Packers, that's December 5th, we then we host the Buffalo Bulls, and I'll be at the game. Close, dear friend is getting married. Now, his reception is the evening before. Can't wait. I'll be staying downtown. So I'll be just right. It'll be right there. Might as well just stumble into the stadium.
How convenient, Chris. Awesome.
Just stumble into the stadium in my heels, right? What a time. What a time. Buffalo Bills, tough team at home, 425. Yeah, that one hurt last year. That one was a stinger, and they're back in town. I mean, I feel good that we're playing them here instead of there. What do you think? How do you think? Do we have their number this year?
I think they're another team that probably, like San Francisco, like I think they peaked already, but even as they start to go down the other side, they're still a pretty good football team. We'll see. That's a tough one. I think in the simulation that I did, I had the Lions losing this one, but they can certainly win it.
Well, I did it with a stimulation because I had the Lions win. I think this is one of those games that's the Lions won't be favored, but I think it's one that they pull out. And it's just one of those statement games. Lions, look, they're going to lose some along the way. Every team loses.
Yeah.
I think fans should not freak out when the team loses this year, and they're probably gonna have a bad loss or two. Every team does. Every team does. I mean, what was that? Do your job year for the Patriots. The loss to the Kansas City Chiefs was an embarrassment, right? It was like a 30-some or 40-point loss. It was embarrassingly bad, and they went on and won the Super Bowl. If that's gonna happen, it's football. It's matchups, but it's also teams just have bad weeks, man. You know, it's just the way it goes. There's too many.
Jared Goff will have a bad day.
Yeah.
Jake Bates will miss 3 extra points in a game. It could happen. It could happen against Buffalo.
When you have 22 guys on the field, that's a lot of guys that could just happen to have a bad day on the same day.
A lot of variables.
Yeah. Darn right. I wouldn't want to do that calculus equation. That's for freaking sure. But bottom line is, I think that's the opposite of the bad news game. I think that's the game where the Lions are able to step up and take one that maybe people didn't think they would.
That'd be nice.
Because I'll be there. All right, back to the sideways toilet seats. We're at the Bears, end of December. I'm a sweep on them. What do you have for?
I got a win there. I think that's one where I think the Bears are a little overconfident, and Dan Campbell knows how to handle an opponent that's overconfident.
All right, now we move on to December 30th. This is 8:15, Monday Night Football. This is the last time we will play at the 49ers Stadium this season.
Yes, it is.
Or postseason.
I'm telling you, I got them.
They come to Detroit next time, baby. That's what I'm saying. All right.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're gonna be the team. I just don't. For whatever, there's no reason why they can't be.
Right.
But
could it turn Philadelphia? This Ayuk situation is really funny, and you got Pearsall taking strays, people who want Rolexes.
Man. Thank God he's okay, by the way.
Yeah.
That's awful.
We just missed talking to him at Senior Bowl. That would have been. I mean, I watched him at Florida all the time, right? And he was a really
player.
fun guy to watch. Player. Yeah,
he was a guy that a lot of Lions fans really liked in the draft, and justifiably so. He was a good player.
Oh, he would have been good in this team. He would have brought something special. But anyway, there's just a lot. The Eagles de-teamed last year. If you know what, it's a word I'm making up right now, but they de-teamed and they solo. They all got out the instruments and started soloing at the same time. They turned into a jazz band with bad taste. I kind of get this feeling that something like that's going to happen in San Fran. I don't know that they can hold that together. They've been knocking on the door a long time. Now, you knock on the door a long time, you get hungry. Eventually, a lot of teams are able to put it together and pull it. Like Michigan in the Natty last year, right? They were able to put it together and take it out. They bend to the game, bend to the cusp of it, and been torn down every friggin' time. You could see the Niners pull something like that together and be the team. I think this is a big game for the Lions, and I think it's going to determine the 49ers' place in the pecking order, how the Lions play here. More the Niners than the Lions, but I think the Lions will take this one out.
I totally agree with everything you just said there. So, yeah, I think this is a game that could very well determine the number 1 seed in the conference. And I don't think that this Lions team is going to take that lightly. They're not afraid.
January 5th to be determined. The Vikings' last game of the season at home. Meaningless game for the Lions.
Maybe.
We'll play all our players anyway and get the win. Because that's who Dan Campbell is.
So the flip side of this is, what if the Vikings are competing for the number 1 pick? They don't need a quarterback. So just look at the teams. I did a project on this at DraftWire earlier this summer. If you want to check it out, look it up. It's really cool. New England, one of the teams that's going to be threatening for the top pick, doesn't need a quarterback. They just took one in the first round.
Yep.
Minnesota just took one in the first round. Carolina took one last year in the first round. Now, if they're terrible again, they might be ready to pull the plug on Bryce Young. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there. But they don't need one. Like Washington, I actually think Washington's not going to be bad this year. They're just everything is so freaking new for Washington. Tough to see them putting it together. I like Jaden Daniels. They're in the competition for that. You know, all the, like, who else is going to be really, really bad? Like, it's tough to say. I think Denver's pretty good, and they got Bo Nix. They seem to really love Bo Nix. Like, the Saints are too good to be that bad.
Yeah.
Like, they get to play Carolina twice. Like, so you're fighting for Michael Williams, or it could be Graham from Michigan. Like, you're fighting for the defensive tops, but you're also fighting for, okay, who's going to be the team that's going to trade up for that top quarterback, and can I get the most booty on the return for that? And you want to be higher up for that. So it could be a game that Minnesota might not want to win, is the long and the short of it.
Yeah. ALFB, always looking for booty.
And even if they're trying to win, I don't think they can. Not against this Lions team. If the Lions want to win this game, they will win this game.
Yeah. I
don't think we're going to have a problem convincing Dan Campbell to get his team to want to win a football game. Anybody remember the Packers game a couple of years? Oh, they don't have anything to play for. The hell with that, they don't. Dan Campbell made some radio hosts look really stupid that week. I was proud of him.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. Let's look at the season. We roll through. We talk about, how we think the team is going to do. We've been through the schedule. Let's go talk about what it is to win the NFC North for this team. Detroit Lions win the North. I think we agree. You said you believe they compete with the Packers, and we beat them on the splits at the end, but with a tied record. Interesting. I'm worried about the future. Again, not this year, but the future where the Lions and the Bears meet in the playoffs, later rounds in the playoffs. I am not at all excited for those.
Just think about the way the NFL general fan will react to that. It's like the Bears have had bubble up years. Been to a couple Super Bowls. They were reasonably competitive for a while there, for a little bit, but they're not a team that's a consistent winner. The Lions, one of the most consistent losing franchises over the last 60 years. Like, if those two teams get it together at the same time, it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. It's off
I'm here for it.
Yep. So the Lions, I think we walk through the schedule. We talk about the season. The North is absolutely, this is going to sound too arrogant, and I hate doing this, but the North is the Lions to lose.
Yes, I agree. And I don't think they're losing it. I don't think this team loses anything on their own will.
Right.
And I don't think Green Bay or Chicago is ready to come take it just yet.
Nope. All right, let's keep going. We're gonna go right from winning the North to winning the NFC. This is a little bit more. This is a different question. We got there.
Yeah.
We were points away. We were half away. We're
really 3 key plays away from winning that game.
Yeah.
And all 3 of them went the wrong way, unfortunately.
Yep. What do the Lions win the NFC, Riz? How much do you put
I think they
that?
do.
How much do you put down on that?
Well, seeing as how my pay stub is pretty Spartan right at the moment. Not much.
I'll help you out tomorrow with that.
I will say, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This Lions team can beat any other team in the postseason anywhere. Doesn't mean they will, but they can.
I think that's fair. I'm looking up to see how much I put down because I did bet for this. I did put money on this bet. Let me see. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, Kings. I'll have to find it.
Excuse me.
I got a whole bunch of UFC bets in here. I got to clean out. All right, here we go. NFC.
UFC still a thing? Like I legitimately don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's rocking.
Okay.
For sure. Detroit Lions, the NFC. Yeah, I put. So I'll say 90% of an average bet on the Lions winning the NFC. Say that way. So like I'll put an amount that I put on games, right? That I bet for, and then a different amount that I put on fights. But on the game amount, which is more that I bet, I put about 90% of what I normally put on a game on the NFC, which is it's a nice pay. It's a nice payout if it lands. But
so the 2 bets that I made Lions wise this year, I did bet on them to win the NFC North. I'm cheap, $10. Put 25 down on Hutch to be the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot because it's going to be there for him. He looked so good this summer. Like,
dude,
he's ready. He's ready.
I met a friend at training camp.
He's ready to ascend into that Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Bosa brother conversation, TJ Watt. He's right there with all those guys. I'm totally convinced of that. And the fact that Aleem in the middle is going to be a Pro Bowler this year. Marcus Davenport, for however many healthy games he is a perfect bookend for what Aaron Glenn wants from a bookend, in a bookend, to Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. He's long. He plays the run on the way to the quarterback really, really well. That's all Aaron Glenn has ever wanted out of that spot. Josh Paschal hasn't been healthy enough to really do it. James Houston, he's pass rusher. Like, they'll bring him in situations, but Aaron Glenn wants a guy who can solidify and fortify the backside so there's nowhere to run when Hutch gets by his guy and is screaming at the quarterback and Aleem's coming up, and like you triangulate the play like the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park. Like, we got that triangulation.
I want to just
the more I think about Marcus Davenport, the more I really like what he does. Having said that, he needs to play more than 8 games.
Back to Aiden. I was meeting a friend on the family tent over at after training camp, and we're like, oh yeah, okay, get there. So I get over there, and just as I got there, Aiden on the far side meets a kid in this family. A kid had Down syndrome, and Aiden went and spent 20 minutes with this kid, right? Yeah. And was genuinely, the kid was dancing. I mean, he was having, Aiden was 100%. Having fun. The kid was having fun. It was really a special moment.
Yes,
as
was.
it happened, 25 yards away, fans just mobbed in, right? It was empty before that, right? Everyone was around the field trying to get autographs, right? And it was like, whatever. So I'm like, hey, come on. And so my friend's like, yeah, I'm on my way. And then it just, the crowd like mushed in all of a sudden and became really hard to talk. But he spent all that time and people were chanting. And then he came over and a couple things. One, he was super cool with the kid and the family, super cool with the fans. But the thing that I noticed the most was just absolutely how fit he is now compared to when he came into the league. My man, he's been working hard, and this is a guy who, it's as much the character of the person you draft. This he could have very easily had a much less physical offseason and I'll say stagnated, but stayed the same, size-wise, muscular build, and nobody would have batted an eye, thought differently. But he's definitely put in some work, and it's a noticeably different evolution from year to year to year of Aiden Hutchinson and what he looks like. I absolutely agree with you on his ability to be a DPOY this year. He physically has the gifts, has put in the work, put himself, has gotten ready, and he's done the mental reps. He's a smart cat. You can see how genuine a person he is. And I'll say all that going on, he's not a dumb businessman either, because he's got that brand piece going. I mean, he's hitting on all cylinders. I very much see this as the first year of a real window of opportunity for him to seize that role. And he
was out here in West Michigan over the weekend. He was out in Rockford hanging out with people.
He's going to be something special. He is, right? But I'm talking, he very well could be one of the guys that you talk about in the same way you talk about Barry or Billy or Lomas or Calvin. He very well could be that. Not just a Michigan guy that everyone loves and kind of, falls into place kind of a thing, but genuinely a league above kind of a player. So this year will be something, in the years to come will be something to see what he turns into and what happens with him. But he is definitely built differently this year than he was last. I am stoked to see Aiden Hutchinson on that field, man.
I'm stoked to see him play against the backup tackle for the Los Angeles Rams, because their starting tackle's suspended. Bad timing, Alaric Jackson.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you remember when Aaron Donald got to play against our backup, Panay?
Yeah.
Now it's our turn. And they don't get a matchup like we had. It's going to be ugly for them. It is going to be ugly.
Yeah. And like us, we're bleeding into the Rams preview here. Sorry for that, but we also need to wrap this up, because gotta be.
Well, instead of bleeding into it, why don't we just roll right into it?
Let's roll.
Lions versus Rams game preview. Let's get into it. We won the NFC. What else is there? Well, first step to winning the NFC is to beat the Rams. Go ahead, hit it, Riz.
We can beat the Rams. They don't match up well against us, X's and O's wise. Again, where is Jared Goff at his very best? Throwing the ball between 8 and 15 yards in the middle of the field to moving targets. What's the best way to stop those? Good safeties, but especially good linebackers in coverage and getting a pass rush up the middle. Aaron Donald ain't there anymore. They just traded their best linebacker, and by the way, all the Rams coverage will tell you they don't know why they did that. Like, they don't get it. That's a tough sell for that team. They're without Alaric Jackson, their left tackle. He's a solid player. He's certainly better than their backup. They just don't match up well with what the Lions do well.
Yeah. It is a game of matchups. Now, I will throw one piece of caution out there. I do this every year, and I'm going to have to do it again this year. No matter what happens in this first game, the first game of the season is always fool's gold. Crazy things happen. I mean, how many passes has Jared Goff thrown in the preseason?
That'd be 0.
Got it.
Stafford too.
Yeah. It's fool's gold to try to predict much of anything out of this first week. And if we had to play the Kansas City Chiefs, I'd want to do it in week 1 because crazy things happen, right? You can build stuff on that. So look.
By the way, did that impact them? They won the Super Bowl.
It did in the near term, but yeah, they won the Super Bowl out of that. I think, and this is, I'm going to sound like I want to have it both ways, but there's 2 things are going to happen: fool's gold, or they are what we think they are, right? And it's going to be a game where the Lions are supposed to beat the Rams, and the Lions, they're favored. Last time I saw, they were plus 200 or minus 200 over the Rams on DraftKings. I haven't checked in a couple of days. This is a game the Lions are favored to win.
Was 175 at MGM.
The Lions are favored to win. The Lions have all the necessary pieces to win. It's just week 1. If the Lions lose, this is not the University of Florida with Billy Nips coaching a team. We do not need people to think the wheels have come off the wagon. We do not need people to think it's over, right? Don't even entertain. Same old Lion, don't entertain the people that say that. Delete them. Delete them immediately from all your contacts, all the places you view information. Just delete them from the face of your earth, because they are not worth even a breath or a bat of an eye. Don't even think about it. Fool's gold, or they are who we thought they were. I think that's what week 1 is with the Detroit Lions and the Rams game.
I forget the team in the year, but I think it was the Jaguars, the year they went 1-15. Their one win was week 1. And they beat a team, it was Miami. And that loss kept Miami out of the playoffs.
Yep.
Like, weird crap happens. I am not a frequent bettor, but I know people who are, and they will tell you, do not bet week 1 games. Bet props if you want, bet player props, but don't bet outcomes week 1.
Yeah.
And then don't bet week 2 based off what you saw in week 1.
All right, hit me with two, or give me 3 key matchups for this game.
That way you can afford to lose. What's that?
Give me 3 key matchups for this game.
Aiden Hutchinson against Rob Havenstein and or their backup left tackle, whose name escapes me right at the moment. That's going to be a tough one. Hutch needs to get home, and or Davenport and Pascal and Houston, when he's in the game, they need to get home.
Yeah.
Stafford ain't running away from anybody.
And when you harass him, things get shaky, right? The ball gets turned over.
Also, let him know that you're getting to him. Remember, that was something that those Bears teams that had like Peanut Tillman on it and Brian Urlacher. I love Peanut Tillman. I hate to give a Bear a love. I freaking love that dude. He was a great player. But anyways, that team, Tommy Harris was on that team. They had pass rushers, and when they got to Stafford, they let Stafford know it, and it bothered him. It bothered us that it bothered him. Remember back to those days. That was the era where my good friend Sean Belegian used to say, Stafford wasn't ready when the Lions team was ready, and then when he was ready, they weren't ready with him.
Right.
That's the era where he wasn't ready yet. And,
I think one of the key matchups is going to be Jonah Jackson and the injury bug. We'll see if that one pops his head again. Yeah. We'll see if that one pops up again.
He gets to play Aleem.
Do they have a backup center?
Let me look up their depth chart here.
I'm telling you, Jonah, his constitution, if he gets burnt bad, something will crop up. If he repeatedly gets burnt, his pride is such, something's going to injury wise crop up with him. I hate to say it because he's a good human being and a tough guy, but the injury grit, if something hurts a little, he's not really big on playing through it. And look, I can respecting your body, you know what I mean, and saying I'm not gonna chance it. I've got a life after football, right? Totally fair. But I will tell you, if there's embarrassment on top of that pain, he's the kind of guy. He's not Rags. He's not Ragnow. He will bow out and walk away, where Ragnow would fight to the finish to reclaim what's his. You know what I mean? And so I think Jonah Jackson versus the injury bug and versus his own self is going to be one of the key matchups in this game.
So they do have Bo Limmer, spelled Beaux, rookie from Arkansas. He was at the Senior Bowl. We liked him. We thought that the Lions liked him as well. We don't know that, but we thought that he was a guy who fit the Lions' profile of what they wanted in an offensive lineman. We got Mahogany. I'm very happy with that. I think we will all be very happy with that. But guy has some potential. Took him in the 6th round. So that's their backup interior offensive line in a nutshell right there. I will tell you one area that does concern me, and that is their replacement. They replaced Aaron Donald with a wave of people, which is a smart way to do it. Like, you don't replace Calvin Johnson by bringing in DJ Chark and saying, hey, be Calvin Johnson in our offense. You change things. Yeah. And they did that. They got our guy Braden Fisk, 2nd round. They took Jared Verse, pretty darn good pass rusher. Power to speed guy, which is the kind of player that can give Panay some issues. That's when Hutch beats Panay. It's almost always power to speed and going inside. And Verse showed he could do that in college. So Kobe Turner from last year.
Panay practicing against Hutch only gets him better.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kobe Turner, after about week 4, was so much better than Jalen Carter as an interior defensive lineman, but everybody had already forgotten that nobody but Jalen Carter existed for Philadelphia, even though he wasn't very good late. Look it up. Wasn't. Turner's good player. Like, they're gonna test the offensive line. Offensive line hasn't played together. Kevin Zeitler hasn't played much at all. I'm a little concerned about that. Yeah, like Goff, not the most mobile guy, not a guy who is the same Jared Goff when he's under pressure either. So the offensive line needs to live up to its expectations for us to win this game. Because the Rams, they're just dangerous enough that if they can do that and get some pressure on Goff and force a takeaway or two, that's how the Rams would win this game. Let's put it that way. So I don't think they will, but that's how they will do it if they do it.
2 questions. One from Don Burr and Peaceful Tim. Is DJ Reader playing in week 1?
Yes, but not a lot. You will see him out there. You will not see a lot of him.
Yep. All right. And now
that's from inside the building, too.
Second question. Who is less mobile, Jared Goff or Matt Stafford?
So last year I would have said it was Goff, but Stafford has had more age, back injuries, neck injuries, Kelly Stafford riding on it. Like, there's just a lot more that can go wrong with him. Now, I will give Stafford credit over Goff on this. If he's flushed, Stafford resets his feet really well when he gets a little bit of time. Goff doesn't do that so well. That's one of the reasons why he does lose accuracy and aggressiveness when he's flushed out of the pocket. So if you're looking for an actual runner, Goff probably gets the edge. But if you're looking for a guy who can buy time, escape a little bit, and then throw, probably Stafford.
I will say if Goff, if they put the meat and the rush on Goff early, watch for a lot of Gibbs, Monty, Laporta sets, ASRB, ARSB.
Watch for a lot of 2 tight end sets.
Yep.
A lot of 2 tight end sets in this game.
Yep.
Brock Wright's going to play a lot in this game.
Amon-Ra in the slot, right across the middle, quick. Yeah. Ben Johnson will scheme their way out of those rush problems. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, they have ways to do that. And again, we saw a lot of 2 tight end sets this summer. We saw a heck of a lot more 2 tight end sets than we did empty.
Yep.
That makes sense. Like,
yep.
Goff doesn't like empty. He said that, so like, don't expect that. But you're going to see a lot of Wright and Laporta lined up in line to start. One of them is going to motion out. Amon-Ra will then motion, or JMO will motion off that motion to dictate the matchups. And that's where Ben's cooking. And that's where Goff and his ability to read the defense and his ability to trust his receivers is going to cook.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, let's do the final piece here. Predictions. What do you think the final score?
So week 1, the defenses tend to be ahead of the offenses. So for whatever reason, I think it's going to be like, I got 27-21 Lions.
Wow.
What do you got?
I had 27-15.
All right.
Well, oddball there, but yeah. No, I think the Lions are going to put 27 on the board. I think they have every ability to do it. Again, the defenses are ahead, but this offense is solid, but I don't think they're going to let them get 3
By the way, the
touchdowns in.
over-under on the game is 51. So we're both under, interestingly.
There you go. All right. I think that does it, my Riz man.
Yeah,
talks
that's
us
a
through it.
show.
Don't forget about liking and subscribing, please. Please do that for us. We ask once a show. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. It does a lot for us. Helps people find us and helps us do what we do. Also, don't forget about us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. $5 or more a month gets you access to the Slack, which is the most intelligent Lions chat in the internet. Folks, even after they're gone, try to listen in. It's a great place to be. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast. DET Lions Podcast. It's the only place to see us pants free. You get all the show information and details there. You know, when we're going to go live, why, all that kind of stuff. And also, go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com because there's magic there. You can subscribe. You can do all the good stuff. Well, all that stuff can happen. And when you do, the excitement gets to such a fever pitch. Riz, what happens?
I get to come in your ear holes automatically, and you'll want to know that next week because I'm doing solo shows next week because Chris and I can't get together. And I don't know when I'm recording them yet.
So there you go. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems because
Lions.
This is the new Detroit Lions, the MCDC Lions. This is your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. See you soon.